don't know what to expect. Looking forward to it though.
Most students study commerce. It's always good to get a different perspective.
An update on where current markets are at, how the budget's going to affect people.
Definitely the non-concessional caps, the lifetime limits that are going to be potentially put in place will have a big impact on UK pension transfers.
Looking at changes to the company tax rate and things like that. That's probably the big one, really. I mean,
We see ourselves as a really holistic organisation in regard to financial services, and I was involved in 3 government inquiries into investment and property investment specifically, and I explained that I felt any financial planning organisation that wasn't able to offer competent advice and access to quality property investments really couldn't call itself wholesome, because property for Australians has always been and will always be a really important investment option. Firstly, I'd like to introduce Michael Williams. I know many of you have heard Michael speak before.
So the value always with superannuation is at some point in time it's going to be a Swiss bank account for you. You're not going to pay tax on it. It's going to be legitimate, and it's not in Panama. You're paying 0 tax. The $1.6 million now though is the cap or the limit that you can have in the tax-free environment. If your account holds $2 million, it means $400,000 you're going to pay tax at the accumulation rates of 15% on income and 10% on capital gains. Not a bad problem to have. As I said, between a husband and wife, it's $3.2 million if we manage the contributions, or between 2 partners. You can earn $19,000 a year tax-free in your own name. So in retirement, we could have $3.2 million in super, we could have substantial assets outside super and earn $40,000 a year in income between 2 people and still not pay any tax.
This holds the key. If they raise interest rates again, which we think they will, so don't believe all the press that the US is falling backwards and at risk of recession, and that the US Federal Reserve will not be raising interest rates again. The only reason they stopped raising interest rates, particularly in the earlier part of the year when we had that big dump in markets, is because they're worried about the feedback loops from all this volatility onto the real economy, right? This is all uncharted territory in terms of volatility, so they sat on their hands.
When July the 1st comes around, does that mean, well, how much will it drop by, the pension level?
I don't think people are really truly aware about how much the pensions are going to drop. And it's not until you get your first fortnightly payment that you realise, hang on, where's my money?
A couple of quick questions. Is the spouse splitting, is that count towards either the concessional or non-concessional caps?
Up until the 30th of June, you can put your $25,000 in.
Yeah.
You then, prior to the super fund tax return being completed, after the financial year, you can move 85% of that to the spouse.
You know, we went through the GFC, everybody, and to say my feelings about that, it just didn't compare to the trauma that many suffered in Australia with the late 80s and early 90s recession. And yet we're still here. And what Scott said is you have a plan, stick to the basic rules, value, but you know, the opportunities that existed 89 to 93, the opportunities that existed during the GFC, and trauma seems to be there with a budget and election at the same time and double dissolution, but still opportunity will be there. And you mentioned that in equities, and I can say it carefully with regard to properties, but we need to be specific, segregate the markets and stick to that plan, and it works.